Welcome. Welcome to Washington University's 154th commencement exercises. I am Robert E. Wiltenberg, the Grand Marshal of this year's ceremony, which will begin with the singing of America the Beautiful by Benjamin Jared Queskin, who will receive his degree of Bachelor of Arts from the College of Arts and Sciences today. Will you please rise if you haven't already?
Spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties, above the fruited plain. America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the east, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, God shed his grace on thee, and crowned thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
Bravo. And will you please be seated? I now present the Chancellor of Washington University, Dr. Mark S. Wrighton.
Thank you, Dr. Wiltenberg. It's a privilege to welcome all of you to the graduation exercises for Washington University's class of 2015. I extend a special welcome, of course, to the 2,826 graduates, because this is the day we recognize and celebrate the completion of your degree requirements. For you, your families, and your friends, this is a day to celebrate your extraordinary achievements leading to your graduation. It is a great pleasure and honor to welcome and recognize members of the class of 1965 who have returned to the university to celebrate their 50th reunion. We value your association with Washington University and take pride in your lifetimes of accomplishment. Like alumni who've preceded you and those who have followed you, You have made important contributions that are making the world a better place for all. I'd like to extend special greetings to 1965 alumnus Mike Peters, Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial cartoonist who was our commencement speaker just 3 years ago. Thank you, Mike. Today, we will also extend special recognition to individuals who will receive honorary degrees. Honorary degrees at Washington University are conferred by unanimous vote of the Board of Trustees, many of whom are on the stage before you. We recognize today 5 individuals for contributions they have made to their professions, to our community, and to society. 2 of our very talented community members are making important contributions to our ceremony today. You've already heard from one of them, Mr. Benjamin Kweskin, who will receive his Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science, who sang America the Beautiful. As we wrap up, Mr. Anthony D. Tomasini, who will receive his Master of Music in Vocal Performance, will lead us in singing the Alma Mater. Let's thank Messrs. Kweskin and Tomasini for their contributions today. You've already heard my favorite music of the year from the mighty Mississippi Concert Band of St. Louis under the direction of Dan Presgrave, a former member of the faculty in our Department of Music in Arts and Sciences. Thank you very much. It has been our custom to name a distinguished emeritus or emerita faculty member as the honorary Grand Marshal for commencement. For this, our 154th commencement, we're privileged to have Professor Emeritus Ronald G. Evans, MD, serve as the honorary Grand Marshal. Professor Evans has enjoyed a long and distinguished career with Washington University as both a faculty member in the Department of Radiology and as a university administrator. Dr. Evans graduated from Washington University with a bachelor's degree in economics in 1961 before turning to medicine and then graduating from our School of Medicine just 3 years later at the top of his class. In 1971, just 1 year after he finished his nuclear medicine fellowship, Dr. Evans, 31 at the time, was selected as the director of the Mallinckrodt Institute of Radiology at Washington University. In 1972, he was honored with the university's first endowed chair in radiology, the Elizabeth Mallinckrodt Professorship. An early advocate for using computers in medical care, under his leadership, Mallinckrodt Institute of Radiology installed its first computer system in 1975. By the 1980s, he helped expand Mallinckrodt into one of the 5 largest and most technologically advanced radiology departments in the world. Under his leadership, the Institute's faculty pioneered the use of cutting-edge imaging technologies such as computerized tomography, ultrasound scanning, magnetic resonance imaging, and positron emission tomography. But Dr. Evans also became a skilled administrator outside the walls of the Mallinckrodt Institute. He served as president of St. Louis Children's Hospital. Later, he became president of Barnes-Jewish Hospital, and he also served as acting president of the Goldfarb School of Nursing. He also served a stint as the university's vice chancellor for finance and administration. For his outstanding contributions to the field of radiology, Dr. Evans has received widespread recognition, including serving in leadership roles for many societies and organizations, including the Association of University Radiologists and the American College of Radiology. I'm delighted that he's joined us on stage today as our honorary Grand Marshal. Please join me in thanking Professor Ron Evans. Please stand. Our commencement ceremony today is the academic highlight of our year. These proceedings continue a long tradition with origins dating back to the Middle Ages. I'm grateful to our Grand Marshal, Dr. Robert E. Wiltenberg, for the vital leadership role he plays in this wonderful tradition. The university advances because many of our most distinguished academicians are also making contributions to campus life. This will be Dean Wiltenberg's last commencement as Grand Marshal, having served in this capacity for many years. Thank you, Dean Wiltenberg, for your leadership. It is now my pleasure to introduce the chairman of the Washington University Board of Trustees, Mr. Craig D. Schnook. Mr. Schnook is chairman emeritus of Schnook Markets Incorporated. He's been an active civic leader for many years, currently serves on the board of directors of BJC Healthcare. Mr. Schnook is a long-serving member of the board and assumed the position of chairman on July 1st, 2014. Please welcome chairman of the board, Mr. Craig Schnook.
Good morning and welcome to everyone. As chairman of the Board of Trustees of Washington University, it is my great privilege to recognize the class of 2015 for your achievements. Today you're graduating from one of the finest universities in the world. You have successfully met rigorous academic challenges. You've worked hard and have every reason to be proud. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I congratulate you on a job well done. We are all proud of Washington University's stature as a global center of learning and discovery. Our university nurtures creativity and commitment to others. It fosters future leaders. It is a place to make lifelong friendships, to gain understanding of viewpoints and cultures that are different from our own, and to build the foundation for professional achievement, to create networks that will support your goals, and to find inspiration that will shape your future. As members of the Washington University community, we share a mission to help make the world better than we found it. Today, we welcome members of the class of 1965 who are seated to my left on stage in honor of their 50 years of outstanding achievement. We expect to be equally proud of the class of 2015 when you sit here 50 years from now. Today we give you a new challenge, to use your education to lead lives of meaning and purpose. We wish you a safe and satisfying journey. Always remember this particular moment with a lot of pride. My fellow trustees and I applaud you, your families, and everyone who is celebrating with you today. Our heartiest congratulations and best wishes to all of you.
It is now my honor to introduce our commencement speaker, Mr. Ken Burns. He's been referred to by the New York Times as the most accomplished documentary filmmaker of his generation. Since his Academy Award-nominated Brooklyn Bridge in 1981, Mr. Burns has gone on to direct and produce some of the most acclaimed historical documentaries ever made for television, exploring such compelling topics in American history as the Civil War, baseball, jazz, the Dust Bowl, Prohibition, and World War II, among several others. A native of Brooklyn, New York, Mr. Burns earned a bachelor's degree in film studies and design from Hampshire College in Amherst, Massachusetts in 1975. At the age of 22, he co-founded his production company, Florentine Films, and he has been making documentary films ever since. Mr. Burns is a meticulous, creative, and innovative filmmaker, known for both the content of his films and for the pioneering filmmaking technique now known as the Ken Burns effect. That brings still photographs to life by slowly panning across or zooming in and out over the images. His PBS documentaries are known for the use of archival film footage, period music, first-person narration, and authentic sound effects. During his career, Burns has earned numerous awards and recognitions, including multiple Grammy and Emmy Awards, more than 25 honorary degrees, and the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Lifetime Achievement Award. and he's still young. The Civil War, for which he was the director, producer, co-writer, chief cinematographer, music director, and executive producer, was the highest-rated series in the history of American public television and attracted an audience of 40 million during its premiere in September of 1990. The series received more than 40 major film and television awards, including 2 Emmy Awards and 2 Grammy Awards. Baseball, which is more than 18 hours long and took 4.5 years to make, became the most watched series in PBS history, attracting more than 45 million viewers when it first aired in September of 1994. Jazz, broadcast on PBS in 2001, is a 19-hour, 10-part film that explores in detail the culture, politics, and dreams that gave birth to jazz music and follows the American art form from its origins in blues and ragtime through swing, bebop, and fusion. In his most recent documentary, he took on the complex topic of cancer. Cancer, the Emperor of All Maladies, is a 6-hour, 3-part series that covers cancer's first documented appearance thousands of years ago in an ancient Egyptian scroll through today's battle to cure, control, and conquer it. Like you, Ken Burns has enjoyed the strong foundation and benefits of an outstanding college education. He's used his passion for history and his commitment to the highest quality storytelling to bring American history alive for millions of individuals around the world. In doing so, he gave us a new way of looking at ourselves and our collective history, and we're all the richer and the better for it. Graduates, families, and distinguished guests, I'm honored to introduce to you one of America's greatest storytellers, Mr. Ken Burns.
Chancellor Wrighton, Mark, members of the Board of Trustees and the administration, distinguished faculty, class of 1965, hardworking staff, my fellow honorees, proud and relieved parents, calm and serene grandparents, distracted but secretly pleased siblings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, graduating students, good morning. I am deeply honored that you have asked me here to say a few words at this momentous occasion, that you might find what I have to say worthy of your attention on so important a day at this remarkable institution. It had been my intention this morning to parcel out some good advice at the end of these remarks, the goodness of that being, of course, subjective in the extreme. But then I realized that this is the land of Mark Twain, and I came to the conclusion that any commentary today ought to be framed in the sublime shadow of this quote of his. It's not that the world is filled with fools, it's just that lightning isn't distributed right. You know, he was given an honorary degree at Oxford University with Rudyard Kipling, the sculptor and painter Auguste Rodin, and also the composer Camille Saint-Saëns. And afterwards, the son of Missouri and son of a slave owner was asked by the press what he thought about it. He says, "The honorary degree was nice, but I'm crazy about the clothes." More on Mr. Twain later. I am in the business of history, and it is my job to try to discern some patterns and themes from the past to help us interpret our dizzyingly confusing and sometimes dismaying present. Without a knowledge of that past, how can we possibly know where we are, and more important, where we are going? Over the years, I've come to understand an important fact, I think, that we are not condemned to repeat, as the cliche goes, and we are fond of quoting, what we don't remember. That's a clever, even poetic phrase, but not even close to the truth. Nor are there cycles of history, as the academic community periodically promotes. The Bible, Ecclesiastes to be specific, got it right, I think. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. What that means is that human nature never changes, almost never changes. We have continually superimposed over complex and contradictory nature over the random course of human events. All of our inherent strengths and weaknesses, our greed and generosity, our puritanism and our prurience parade before our eyes generation after generation after generation. This often gives us the impression that history does repeat itself. It doesn't. It just rhymes, Mark Twain is supposed to have said, but didn't. More on him later. Over the many years of practicing, I have come to the realization that history is not a fixed thing, a collection of precise dates and facts and events, even cogent commencement quotes, that add up to a quantifiable, certain, confidently known truth. It is a mysterious and malleable thing, and each generation rediscovers and re-examines that part of its past that gives its present, and most important, its future, new meaning, new possibilities, and new power. Listen, for most of the 40 years I've been making historical documentaries, I have been haunted and inspired by a handful of sentences from an extraordinary speech I came across early in my professional life by a neighbor of yours just up the road in Springfield, Illinois. In January of 1838, shortly before his 29th birthday, a tall, thin lawyer, prone to bouts of debilitating depression, addressed the Young Men's Lyceum. The topic that day was national security. At what point shall we expect the approach of danger, he asked his audience. Shall we expect some transatlantic military giant to step the earth and crush us at a blow? Then he answered his own question. Never. All the armies of Europe, Asia, and Africa could not by force take a drink from the Ohio River or make a track in the Blue Ridge in the trial of 1,000 years. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide. It is a stunning, remarkable statement. That young man was, of course, Abraham Lincoln, and he would go on to preside over the closest this country has ever come to near national suicide, our Civil War, fought over the meaning of freedom in America. And yet, embedded in his extraordinary, disturbing, and prescient words is a fundamental optimism that implicitly acknowledges the geographical force field two mighty oceans and two relatively benign neighbors, north and south, have provided for us since the British burned the White House during the War of 1812. We have counted on Abraham Lincoln for more than a century and a half to get it right when the undertow in the tide of those human events have threatened to overwhelm and capsize us. We always come back to him for the kind of sustaining vision of why we Americans still agree to cohere, why, unlike any other country on earth, we are still stitched together by words, and most important, their dangerous progeny, ideas. We return to him for a sense of unity, conscience, and national purpose, to escape what the late historian Arthur Schlesinger Jr. says is our problem today: too much pluribus, not enough unum. It seems to me that Lincoln gave our fragile experiment a conscious shock that enabled it to outgrow the monumental hypocrisy of slavery inherited at our founding and permitted us all, slave owner as well as slave, to have literally, as he put it at Gettysburg, a new birth of freedom. Lincoln's Springfield speech also suggests what is so great and so good about the people who inhabit this lucky and exquisite country of ours. That's the world you now inherit. Our work ethic, our restlessness, our innovation and improvisation, our communities and our institutions of higher learning, our suspicion of power, the fact that we seem resolutely dedicated to parsing the meaning between individual and collective freedom, that we are dedicated to understanding what Thomas Jefferson really meant when he wrote that inscrutable phrase, the pursuit of happiness. But ladies and gentlemen, the isolation of those two mighty oceans has also helped to incubate habits and patterns less beneficial to us. Our devotion to money and guns, our certainty about everything, our stubborn insistence on our own exceptionalism, blinding us to that which needs repair, our preoccupation with always making the other wrong at an individual as well as global level. And then there is the issue of race, which was foremost on the mind of Lincoln back in 1838. It is still here with us today. The jazz trumpeter Wynton Marsalis told me that healing this question of race was what the kingdom needed in order to be well. The enormous strides in equality achieved in statutes and laws in the 150 years since the Civil War that Lincoln correctly predicted would come are in danger of being undone by our still imperfect human nature and by politicians who now insist on a hypocritical colorblindness after 4 centuries of discrimination. That discrimination now takes on new, sometimes subtler, less obvious, but still malevolent forms today. The chains of slavery have been broken, thank God. And so too has the feudal dependence of sharecroppers as the vengeful Jim Crow era recedes, sort of, into the distant past. But now in places like, but not limited to, your other neighbors, a few miles as the crow flies from here in Ferguson, we see the ghastly remnants of our great shame emerging still. The shame Lincoln thought would lead to national suicide, our inability to see beyond the color of someone's skin. It has been with us since our founding. When Thomas Jefferson wrote that immortal second sentence of the Declaration that begins, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal," he owned more than 100 human beings. He never saw the contradiction, he never saw the hypocrisy, and more important, never saw fit in his lifetime to free any one of those human beings, ensuring, as we went forward, that the young United States, born with such glorious promise, would be bedeviled by race, that it would take a bloody, bloody civil war to even begin to redress the imbalance. But the shame continues. Prison populations exploding with young black men killed almost weekly by policemen, whole communities of color burdened by corrupt municipalities that resemble more the predatory company store of a supposedly bygone era than a responsible modern local government. Our cities and towns and suburbs cannot become plantations. It is unconscionable, as you emerge from this privileged sanctuary, that a few miles from here, and nearly everywhere else in America, Baltimore, New York City, North Charleston, Cleveland, Oklahoma, Sanford, Florida, nearly everywhere else, we are still playing out, sadly, an utterly American story. That the same stultifying conditions and sentiments that brought on our Civil War are still on such vivid and unpleasant display. Today, there's nothing new under the sun. Many years after our Civil War, in 1883, Mark Twain took up writing in earnest, a novel he had started and abandoned several times over the last half-dozen years. It would be a different kind of story from his celebrated Tom Sawyer book, told this time in the plain language of his Missouri boyhood, and it would be his masterpiece. Set near here, before the Civil War and emancipation, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is the story of 2 runaways, a white boy, Tom Sawyer's old friend Huck, fleeing civilization, and a black man, Jim, who is running away from slavery. They escape together on a raft going down the Mississippi. The novel reaches its moral climax when Huck is faced with a terrible choice. He believes he has committed a grievous sin in helping Jim escape, and he finally writes out a letter telling Jim's owner where her runaway property can be found. Huck feels good about doing this at first, he says, and marvels at how close I came to being lost and going to hell. But then he hesitates, thinking about how kind Jim has been to him during their adventure. Somehow, Huck says, I couldn't seem to strike no place to harden me against him, but only the other kind. I'd seen him standing my watch on top of his'n, instead of calling me so I could go on sleeping, and see how glad he was when I come back out of the fog and such like times, and would always call me honey and do everything he could think of me, how good he was always to me. Then Huck remembers the letter he has written. took it up, held it in my hand, he says. I was a-trembling, because I got to decide forever betwixt two things, and I knowed it. I studied a minute, sort of holding my breath, and then says to myself, all right then, I'll go to hell, and tore it up. That may be the finest moment in all of American literature. Ernest Hemingway thought all of American literature began at that moment. Twain himself, writing after the Civil War and after the collapse of Reconstruction, a misunderstood period devoting to trying to enforce civil rights, was actually expressing his profound disappointment that racial differences still persisted in America, that racism still festered in this favored land, founded as it was on the most noble principle yet advanced by humankind, that all men are created equal, that civil war had not cleansed our original sin, a sin we continue to confront today, daily, in this supposedly enlightened post-racial time. It is into this disorienting and sometimes disappointing world that you now plummet, I'm afraid, unprotected from the shelter of family and school. You have fresh prospects and real dreams, and I wish each and every one of you the very best. But I am drafting you now into a new Union Army that must be committed to preserving the values, the sense of humor, the sense of cohesion that have long been a part of our American human nature, too. You have no choice. You've been called up, you're drafted, and it is your difficult but great and challenging responsibility to help change things and set us right again. Let me apologize to you in advance on behalf of all of these people up here. We broke it, but you've got to fix it. You're joining You are joining a movement that must be dedicated above all else, career and personal advancement, to the preservation of this country's most enduring ideals. You have to learn and then reteach the rest of us that equality, real equality, is the hallmark and birthright of all Americans. Thankfully, you will become a vanguard against a new separatism that seems to have infected our ranks, a vanguard against those forces that, in the name of our great democracy, have managed to diminish it. Then you can change human nature just a bit, to appeal, as Lincoln also implored us to appeal to the better angels of our nature. That's the objective, and I know you can do it. Okay, rounding third. Let me speak directly to the graduating class. Watch out, here comes the advice. Remember, Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. Reject fundamentalism wherever it raises its ugly head. It's not civilized. Choose to live in the Bedford Falls of It's a Wonderful Life, not its oppressive opposite, Pottersville. Do not descend too deeply into specialism. Educate all of your parts. You will be healthy. Replace cynicism with its old-fashioned antidote, skepticism. Don't confuse monetary success with excellence. The poet Robert Penn Warren once warned me that careerism is death. Try not to make the other wrong. Be curious, not cool. Remember, insecurity makes liars of us all. Listen to jazz. A lot. A lot. It is our music. Read. The book is still the greatest man-made machine of all. Not the car, not the TV, not the computer, or the smartphone. Do not allow our social media to segregate us into ever smaller tribes and clans, fiercely and sometimes appropriately loyal to our group, but also capable of metastasizing into profound distrust of the other. Serve your country. By all means, serve your country. But insist that we fight the right wars. Governments always forget that. Convince your government that the real threat, as Lincoln knew, comes from within. Governments always forget that too. Do not let your government outsource honesty, transparency, or candor. Do not let your government outsource democracy. Vote. Elect good leaders. When he was nominated for a second time in 1936, Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "Better the occasional faults of a government that lives in a spirit of charity than the consistent omissions of a government frozen in the ice of its own indifference. We all deserve the former, and insist on it. Insist that we support science and the arts, especially the arts. They have nothing to do with the actual defense of our country. They just make our country worth defending." Be about the unum and not the pluribus. Do not, above all, do not lose your enthusiasm. In its Greek etymology, the word enthusiasm means simply God in us. And even though lightning still isn't distributed right, try not to be a fool. It just gets Mark Twain riled up a bit. And if you ever find yourself in Huck's spot, if you've got to decide betwixt two things, do the right thing. Don't forget to tear up the letter. He didn't go to hell, and you won't either. So we come to an end of something today, and for you also, a very special beginning. Godspeed to you all.
Mr. Burns, thank you for a meaningful, eloquent, and compelling presentation to our graduates and to those gathered here to celebrate with them. We at Washington University are proud to recognize your accomplishments by bestowing upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities. I will now continue conferring the honorary degrees. I have asked members of the Board of Trustees to assist me today in conferring these degrees. Trustee Jeffrey C. Gensch will present Dr. Mary Del Matchett Chilton.
Chancellor Wrighton, I have the privilege of presenting Dr. Mary Del Chilton, distinguished scientist and pioneer in the field of agricultural biotechnology, and a recent inductee into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. Dr. Chilton's research produced the first genetically engineered plants, an astonishing discovery that led to the emergence of a new scientific field of plant genetic engineering. This has allowed plant geneticists to improve the world's food crops. Dr. Chilton, we at Washington University are proud to recognize your accomplishments and bestow upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Science.
Trustee Thomas J. Hillman will present Dr. Gerald David Fischbach.
Chancellor Wrighton, I have the privilege of presenting Dr. Gerald Fischbach, an acclaimed neuroscientist. Dr. Fischbach is a pioneer in the use of nerve cell cultures to study synapses. His work has led to the understanding of many of the biochemical, electrophysiological, and molecular mechanisms by which the nervous system functions. He now oversees a wide array of researchers studying the complexity of autism. Dr. Fischbach, we at Washington University are proud to recognize your accomplishments by bestowing upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Science.
Trustee Maxine Clark will present Herbie Hancock.
Chancellor Wrighton, I have the privilege of presenting Herbie Hancock, a true icon of modern music. Herbie Hancock is also an electrical engineer and has an illustrious career spanning 5 decades and 14 Grammy Awards. He's had a profound influence on acoustic and electronic jazz, rhythm and blues, contemporary funk, and soul music. His relentless and distinctive musical experimentation has influenced generations of artists from jazz to techno to hip-hop. Mr. Hancock, we at Washington University are proud to recognize your accomplishments by bestowing upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
Trustee John P. Dubinsky will present Susan Andrea Talvey.
Chancellor Wrighton, I have the privilege, the profound privilege, of presenting Rabbi Susan Talvey, founding rabbi of Central Reform Congregation in St. Louis. Selected in 2014 as one of the nation's most inspirational rabbis, she has led her congregation in promoting inclusivity by developing ongoing relationships with African American and Muslim congregations, and by fostering civil liberties, especially in the LGBTQ community. Rabbi Talvi, we at Washington University are proud to recognize your accomplishments by bestowing upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
Will all the members of the Board of Trustees please rise? Will all honorary degree recipients please rise? By virtue of the authority delegated to me on behalf of Washington University, I hereby confer upon each of you the appropriate honorary degree and declare that your names shall be forever inscribed upon the enduring roll of the university's honorary sons and daughters. Congratulations. You all may be seated.
I wish to introduce the president of the senior class, Jeremy Samuel Sherman.
Thank you, Grand Marshal Wildenberg, Chancellor Wrighton, Board of Trustees, Ken Burns, and distinguished guests. And thank you to everyone here today, to parents, to families, to friends, to loved ones. Thank you for supporting us, encouraging us, and getting us to today. Thank you. And to the class of 2015, we made it. Congratulations. Today, during our final moments as undergraduate students of Washington University, I feel compelled to think back to our beginning. As freshmen, WashU was as exciting as it was daunting. There was so much to experience, so much to do and see and try in the next 4 years, but we had questions. As freshmen, there were so many decisions to make. What classes should I take and what should I major in? Where should I eat and what club should I join? Who should my friends be and where should we live? Should I study for this exam or go to this party? Sometimes we'd ask, am I even smart enough to go here? But more than anything, our freshman year was consumed with uncertainty. None of us were quite sure what the next 4 years would bring. For many of us, freshman year was the first time we faced such uncertainty by ourselves. Of course, we had parents and mentors and friends guiding us along the way, but earning that title of college student was built upon confronting this uncertainty for ourselves. I remember looking at the seniors and thinking, they're so wise, they're so experienced and mature, they have everything figured out. I remember thinking, they know how college works. They know who they are, what they stand for, where they're going. As underclassmen, we looked at the seniors and thought to ourselves, they have their stuff together. And we asked, how would we ever achieve that? How would we ever get to that point? But now, on graduation day, it may not feel like we embody those senior attributes. After all those classes, after countless hours of studying, after case competitions and labs, changing relationships and various leadership positions, job interviews and grad applications, we may not feel full of wisdom at all. We may not have everything figured out. We may still be wondering how college works, who we are, what we stand for. And while many of us may have jobs or grad school planned for the future, we may have no idea where we're headed. Today, as we wear our cap and gown and celebrate this immense milestone, the air of uncertainty we all felt freshman year still lingers, and sometimes it may feel even stronger now than it did then. We are not sure what's next, where post-grad life will take us, the challenges we'll face, the decisions we'll have to make. As graduating students, we have more questions than ever before. But somehow, I'm not really nervous and anxious in the same way we were freshman year. Because of everything our education gave us, from problem solving to teamwork to being a good friend, a good global citizen, despite all of it, perhaps our education gave us something less obvious. Perhaps it gave us something less tangible, but more valuable. It gave us the ability to deal with uncertainty, to cope when we aren't sure, to make changes when things don't go according to plan, to answer questions we don't know the answer to make tough choices and address the ambiguity for ourselves. Everything at WashU gave us the tools necessary to venture off into an uncertain, constantly changing world, to figure things out little by little, to become more and more wise every day, even if we're never sure where we're headed. But WashU didn't just give us the ability, it gave us an appreciation. It taught us that not knowing can be the best adventure of them all. Our time here was consumed with so many uncertainties, like the uncertainty of whether we pass a class, or the uncertainty of whether we'd be able to go out this weekend because of the 3 papers, 2 exams, group project, and lab report we had. Like the uncertainty of how long the line will be at the Village or Sol Taco. The uncertainty of whether the move is actually the move. Whether the wild artist is going to be any good. If we'll get into Ibby's without a reservation. If a speech you deliver in public will go over well. The uncertainty we faced freshman year of who we'd be today on graduation day. Even though our college experience was consumed with so many uncertainties, both serious and humorous, because of them we ended up here smarter and successful. There's something to really appreciate about all this uncertainty. As graduates of Washington University, I hope we'll embrace the uncertainty. I hope we'll never settle or become too comfortable. Because being uncertain means that we'll continue to explore new things, meet new people, and go new places. As graduates and as adults, let's embrace the uncertainty ahead of us. Let's be okay with not having everything planned out. Let's be okay with not knowing what comes next. Let's be okay with all the unknowns ahead of us. Because it's exciting. It will empower us to make an impact wherever we go. We are all headed different places. Friends and relationships we've cherished for the past 4 years may become separated by state lines, time zones, or even entire continents. Our busy lives may hinder us from keeping in touch, remembering to call every now and then, and staying up to date with your latest Instagram post. But it's important to remember that we'll be facing all the uncertainties of post-grad life together, no matter where we are. And that the community we found here at WashU remains intact, despite our physical divide. In a way, we're back where we started, freshmen all over again, faced with a future that's as exciting as it is daunting. Except this time, we are freshmen in life. For many of us, it'll be the start of something that has no clear end date. And while it's scary and overwhelming, we're ready for it. Because everything at WashU, the classes and the exams, the friendships and the mentors, the mistakes and the milestones, they taught us that if we're certain of one thing, it's to never fear the uncertainty. So here's to the future, to the incredible things we'll all do, to careers and grad school and alumni reunions. Here's to us, the class of 2015, and here's to our uncertain yet fulfilling lives. Congratulations.
you very much, Jeremy. For the presentation of academic degrees, I now present the Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Holden Thorpe.
For the presentation of academic degrees in arts and sciences, I now present the Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, Barbara Shaw.
Undergraduates in Arts and Sciences, this is your moment. For the presentation of students in the College of Arts and Sciences, I wish to introduce the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Jennifer R. Smith.
The student marshals for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Music in Arts and Sciences and Bachelor of Science in Architecture will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Congratulations. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who are duly recommended by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. The candidates will please be seated. Well done.
For the presentation of students in University College, I wish to introduce the Associate Dean for Academics in University College, Stephen M. Ehrlich.
The student marshals for the degrees of Associate in Arts and Bachelor of Science will please come forward. Candidates for these degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor of presenting these candidates who are duly recommended by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. The candidates will please be seated. The student marshals for the master's degrees in University College will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor of presenting these candidates. They have been examined and are duly recommended by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of graduate students in Arts and Sciences, I wish to introduce the Dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, William F. Tate.
The student marshals for the master's degrees in the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees, will you please rise? Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates. They have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated. The student marshals for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Liberal Arts will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, it is with high honor that I present these outstanding candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Liberal Arts. They have fulfilled the many requirements for these advanced degrees and are approved by the faculty of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates may be seated.
For the presentation of students in the School of Engineering, I wish to introduce the Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Science, Ralph Catrano.
The student marshals for the Bachelor of Science degrees will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who are duly recommended by the faculty of the School of Engineering and Applied Science. Candidates will please be seated. The student marshals for the graduate degrees in the School of Engineering and Applied Science will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates for the master's and doctoral degrees in engineering. They have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the School of Engineering and Applied Science. The candidates may hood one another. Candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of academic degrees in the Sam Fox School of Design and Visual Arts, I now present the Dean, Carmen Colangelo.
For the presentation of students in architecture, I wish to introduce the Dean of the College of Architecture and the Graduate School of Architecture and Urban Design in the Sam Fox School of Visual Arts, Bruce Lindsay.
The student marshal for the degree of Bachelor of Design in Architecture will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who are duly recommended by the faculty of the College of Architecture. The candidates will please be seated. I would now like to recognize the students who are receiving from the College of Arts and Sciences a Bachelor of Arts with a major in Architecture or a Bachelor of Science in Architecture. Will these students please stand and be recognized? The candidates will please be seated. The student marshals for the master's degrees in the Graduate School of Architecture and Urban Design will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the Graduate School of Architecture and Urban Design. The candidates may hood one another. Congratulations. Carolyn, congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of students in art, I wish to introduce the Director of the College of Art and the Graduate School of Art in the Sam Fox School of Design and Visual Arts, Heather A. Corcoran.
The student marshals for the degree of Bachelor of Fine Arts will please come forward. Candidates for this degree will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who are duly recommended by the faculty of the College of Art. Congratulations. The candidates will please be seated. The student marshal for the degree of the Master of Fine Arts will please come forward. Candidates for this degree will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates. They have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the Graduate School of Art. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of students in the School of Business, I wish to introduce the Dean of the Olin Business School, Mahendra Gupta.
The student marshals for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Business Administration in the Olin Business School will please come forward. Candidates for the degree will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who are duly recommended by the faculty of the Olin Business School. The candidates will please be seated. The student marshals for the master's degrees in the Olin Business School will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates. They have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the Olin Business School. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of the students in the School of Social Work, I wish to introduce the Dean of the Brown School, Edward Lawler.
The student marshals for the master's degrees in the Brown School will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees of Master of Social Work and Master of Public Health who have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the Brown School. The candidates may hood one another. Way to go. Outstanding. Way to go. Congratulations. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of the students in the School of Law, I wish to introduce the Dean of the School of Law, Nancy Stout.
The student marshals for the master's and doctoral degrees in the School of Law will please come forward. The candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the high honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Law, Doctor of Science of Law, Master of Law, and Master of Legal Studies, and are approved by the faculty of the School of Law. Candidates, you may hood one another. Congratulations. Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You did it.
Thank you.
The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of the students in the School of Medicine, I wish to introduce the Dean of the School of Medicine, Larry Shapiro.
The student marshal for the master's degree in the School of Medicine will please come forward. The candidates for the degree will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the School of Medicine. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated. The student marshals for the doctoral degrees in the School of Medicine will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the high honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the many requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Medicine, Doctor of Audiology, Doctor of Occupational Therapy, and Doctor of Physical Therapy, and are approved by the School of Medicine. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated.
Just for the record, I've approved all those recommendations. Will all of the faculty please rise? Will all of the candidates who have completed the requirements for the bachelor's degree please rise? By virtue of the authority delegated to me on behalf of Washington University, I hereby confer upon each of you your bachelor's degree with all its attendant rights, privileges, and obligations. The graduates will please be seated. Will all the candidates who have completed the requirements for the master's degree please rise? By virtue of the authority delegated to me on behalf of Washington University, I hereby confer upon each of you your master's degree with all its attendant rights, privileges, and obligations. The graduates will please be seated. Will all the candidates who have completed the requirements for the doctoral degree please rise? By virtue of the authority delegated to me on behalf of Washington University, I hereby confer upon each of you your doctoral degree with all its attendant rights, privileges, and obligations. The doctors will please be seated. The faculty may be seated. Several of today's graduates have participated in the Reserve Officers Training Program and have been commissioned second lieutenants in the United States Army or the United States Air Force. Will they please stand and be recognized? Congratulations to our newest alumni, the class of 2015. You have accomplished an enormous amount, and you have even greater potential than when you began your studies here. You have earned a degree, but you've done more than grow intellectually. You've also matured emotionally and socially. Your newly acquired education will serve you well throughout your life, and the Washington University friendships and memories are ones I hope you return to often. Graduates, your achievements here are impressive, but you've not realized that success on your own. You've been supported by parents and other family members, by friends, and by Washington University faculty, staff, and other students. And many among you have been supported by generous donors who've provided scholarship support. Graduates, would you join me in thanking all those who have supported you? As our senior class president noted, commencement is a new beginning. I'd like to extend special recognition to some leaders of the university for whom this is a time of commencement also. I've already noted that Dean Robert Wiltenberg is concluding his tenure as Grand Marshal, and he's also concluding 19 years as Dean of University College. Dean Ralph Quatrano is concluding his tenure as Dean of the School of Engineering. Dr. Sharon Stahl is retiring from the university as Vice Chancellor for Students Emerita. Dean Larry J. Shapiro is also concluding his tenure as Dean of the School of Medicine and Executive Vice Chancellor. Finally, Vice Chancellor and Chief Financial Officer Barb Feiner is retiring from the university at year end. Please join me in thanking these great institutional leaders. Graduating seniors, thank you for your very generous class gift for scholarships. Over 70% of the graduating seniors have already contributed to the class gift. Enhancing our financial aid programs is a key goal of our current fundraising effort, Leading Together, the campaign for Washington University. The campaign has already resulted in more than $294 million to support student financial aid needs. Our goal is to ensure that the Washington University experience is both accessible and affordable. Speaking of gifts, I'm very appreciative of the very special gift presented to me at the senior class dinner on Monday evening. To let everyone else in on the secret, I've had my wardrobe enhanced to include Washington University monogrammed, double-breasted pajamas. I no longer have to sleep in my suits. Mr. Burns mentioned social media, and it's likely that many of our students follow the tweets of Fake Wrighton. Fake Wrighton tweeted a few weeks ago that Ken Burns would be our commencement speaker and that the presentation would be 6 hours in 3 two-hour episodes. We're grateful that Mr. Burns delivered his outstanding commencement address and did so in slightly less than 6 hours. But I could have listened to him longer. Thank you, Mr. Burns, for all you do. Our graduating students have brought us many rewards during their time with us. We've had fun and excitement in athletics, and the beat goes on. We have outstanding student athletes, including graduating seniors, who are not here today as they continue to compete for national championships in baseball, men's tennis, women's golf, and track and field. This has been a great first year for Josh Whitman, the first John Shale Director of Athletics. Our new graduates have brought us much more. They've performed and supported theater, music, and dance, and enhanced our cultural understanding through Black Anthology, Carnival, Diwali, the Powwow, and the Lunar New Year Festival. Many have been involved in research and other creative work that will enhance the quality of life for all of us. Members of our class of 2015 now begin a new phase of their lives. We do not know for sure what the world will be like in 2065, 50 years from now. But we do know that there will be challenges and opportunities along the way to which our new graduates will respond, just as members of our class of 1965 have done in the 50 years since their graduation. We celebrate that 50-year reunion class and their achievements. Let's look back to 1965 to understand life in America at that time. In Hollywood's Academy Awards, Rex Harrison won Best Actor for his role in My Fair Lady, and Julie Andrews won Best Actress for her role in Mary Poppins. Locally, one of the most exciting developments in the region for 1965 was the completion of the Gateway Arch, a symbol of St. Louis as a gateway to the West. It was in 1853, more than 100 years before the completion of the arch, that Washington University was founded. At the time of the founding, St. Louis was arguably the most important city in North America and served as the staging area for the expansion to the west. The Gateway Arch has become an iconic symbol for us and is known around the world. The Gateway Arch was completed October 28, 1965, at a cost of only $13 million. In today's dollars, however, that would be about $200 million. Prices in 1965 were a little different than today. A gallon of gasoline was 31 cents, a loaf of bread 21 cents. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended 1965 at 969. And during the year of 1965, Warren Buffett gained controlling interest in Berkshire Hathaway at $18 a share. Today, Berkshire Hathaway trades about $220,000 a share, while the Dow Jones has been close to only 18,000. Clearly, Warren Buffett has done much better than the Dow. 1965 was a year with much racial strife, with the march from Selma to Montgomery and riots in Watts. In 1965, the Voting Rights Act was signed into law by President Lyndon Johnson, guaranteeing the right to all Americans to vote. President Johnson also announced an expansion of the war on poverty and set out his plan for Medicare. Clearly, 1965 was a year of great social unrest and change. Here we are, a half-century later, with many examples of great progress in many diverse areas, but many of the very same challenges from 1965 are still confronting us. From Ferguson to New York, to Florida, to Madison, to Los Angeles, to Baltimore, all across America, we are still experiencing racial strife. Our community and communities throughout the United States are struggling with the problems that stem from lack of educational and economic opportunities, from significant health disparities, and from racism. But I'm confident that a brighter future lies ahead. Washington University and other colleges and universities are powerful forces for good through their educational and scholarly programs. We've prepared our students for lives of meaning and purpose through programs like the following. Professor Jason Purnell of the Brown School, working together with others, has documented health disparities in our region and is working to implement recommendations to overcome these disparities. Our Institute for Public Health, under the leadership of Professor of Medicine William Powderly, founded in 2007, includes in its mission eliminating health disparities in our region. And Professor Bob Hansman of the Sam Fox School of Design and Visual Arts has long worked to enhance the lives of inner city youth through his program City Faces. Leah Merrifield is the leader of our college prep program to prepare talented high school students to succeed in college. The participating high school students will be the first in their family to go to college. With leadership from Cheryl Edelstein, we are sponsoring charter schools in the city of St. Louis in the Knowledge is Power program, and we're also sponsoring the Hawthorne School for Girls, opening this summer with a focus on STEM education. Through our Institute for School Partnership, led by Vicki May, we are engaging with public schools in the region to enhance science education. The Richard A. Gephardt Institute for Civic and Community Engagement, under the leadership of Professor Amanda Moore McBride, is deeply engaged in our community and providing opportunities for students to make contributions to strengthen the world around us. Provost Holden Thorpe has attracted a team to enhance our efforts in innovation and entrepreneurship, including Mike Kinch, Dedrick Carter, and Emery Toker, who is the new leader of our Scandalaris Center. These are leading to the spawning of new companies and new jobs. Our students have been involved in all of these efforts to enhance the well-being of our community and all who live here. Indeed, our students have been leaders in these areas, including medical students participating in Saturday morning clinics, engineering and medical students founding Idea Labs, and undergraduates who are part of the Civic Scholars Program of the Gephardt Institute. Our new graduates provide the basis for my optimism that the future is bright. Our alumni amplify the work of the faculty and staff, and we will follow with interest the contributions of our newest alumni. They will contribute to treating and curing cancer, overcoming neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Our new graduates will lead and spawn new companies, contribute to the achievement of social justice, and work to solve daunting problems associated with our growing global population, such as the need for more energy and nutritious food without creating adverse effects on the environment. Our new graduates will contribute to overcoming poverty and global public health challenges. Our alumni will be making the world better in other ways through their creative contributions in art, design, and the humanities, and in the performing arts. If you need evidence of that, I invite you to take a look at the Master of Fine Arts exhibit in the Mildred Lane Kemper Art Museum. Yes, the future is brighter, thanks to the promise represented by our new alumni. 50 years ago, the Gateway Arch was completed. Today, the Gateway Arch is being redeveloped with an enormous investment from our community. This redevelopment is part of what is needed to bring reality to the importance of St. Louis as a city of promise and hope for the future, just as it was in 1853. Considering the challenges we face domestically and internationally, we need to refocus on bringing reality to the promise of a brighter future through the work of the university, its students, faculty, and staff. Most important, and it's great to have the third-party affirmation of Ken Burns, I challenge our alumni to take up the mantle of responsibility to make our world better. Think of Washington University as the catalyst and the gateway to a brighter future. Graduates, as you pass through that archway of Brookings Hall, I wish you every success in your family life, in your continuing educational and career activities, and in your effort to make our world better. Thank you for what you have done so far. But the outstanding achievements have raised my expectations. The future of the world depends on you. It's now time for commencement of that brighter future. Congratulations to the class of 2015. Thank you.
Let us now stand and remove our caps for the singing of the alma mater. The words are printed inside the back cover of your program. Anthony D. Tomasini, who just received the degree of Master of Music from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, will lead us, and we invite everyone to please join in the singing of the Washington University alma mater. Following the alma mater, we ask that parents and guests remain in their seats until the end of the academic recession, and all degree recipients have exited the quadrangle. We then ask our guests to please exit Brookings Quadrangle as quickly as possible, as the venue will be used for other programs.